Hello, creators, my fellow entrepreneurs. I am Chris Perillo, streaming some live advice to you again, as I'm prone to do just about every single weekday. Thanks again for supporting this endeavor on CreatorAdvocate.com. Recently, I had a patron ask me, what was the best part of the job? The job of being self-employed, the career of being you? Possibly, if you create content largely based upon your fascinations, your interests, your passions, your hobbies. Or maybe you created a business because you felt the need to bring something into the world that didn't exist before, at least the way that you wanted it to exist, or the way that you were able to execute upon an idea. Everyone's going to have a different response, and I thought this would be kind of nice to talk about because everybody's response is going to be different. I mean, there are going to be people who happen to see things the way I see things, but there are going to be probably more who don't. My favorite part of the job, the best part of the job for me, and it is a job, there are a lot of tasks that need to be taken care of, so please don't assume that everything is happy hunky-dory just because you enjoy one particular aspect of being self-employed, because that's not the case, and other creators would tell you the same. For me, the best part is being able to adjust my schedule for the most part to be able to deal with things as they need to be dealt with, but not necessarily have to deal with a typical office situation or a 9-to-5. Now, maybe your particular endeavor takes you into more office constructs and you have a lot more structure around your particular endeavor. Nothing wrong with that. In fact, even in doing that, even if you are at the core of that, you probably still have a lot of say in terms of what happens with your schedule, which I think is the best part of the job. You can decide whether or not something is more important than something else because you are in the driver's seat, unless, of course, you've yielded that control to somebody or something else, something that's critical to your business, assumedly. But for me, it is being able to take 5 minutes, do something, come back to it, and you could easily do that, of course, in a typical 9-to-5 scenario where you are working for somebody else. But when you're working for yourself, when you are the business, it's not always easy to take those moments. But when you understand and you recognize that you are in more control than the things that you can't control, it's kind of nice. So it's been a boon for me to be able to set my own schedule. I have the personality to be able to take care of things that need to get taken care of, to adjust for and compensate for any kind of shortcomings that may come about by adjusting one's schedule. Maybe you aren't that type of person. Maybe you do need a more regimented lifestyle in order to push through on the tasks that you need to take care of. But for me, it's the freedom of having a relatively open schedule that is nice. It just doesn't feel like I've got this constant threat looming over me, or I'm on a certain timeline apart from independent projects. Having that freedom, I feel, gives me more creative license. For example, today, I did a couple of live streams, and before starting this particular live stream on the YouTube channel, I had to take a breather. I was definitely not having a great day. Still not having a great day, believe it or not. It has not been a great day for me. But you know what? I still have to talk about the things that I don't find as bad. Why? Because I feel it's my responsibility to answer your questions. That's a part of what it is that I do, laying down advice. So how could you effectively then get yourself into a position where you can dictate your own schedule? As long as you're able to accomplish your goals, the way I look at it is it's less about how you get to a goal, how you accomplish the goal, and as long as the goal is accomplished, it's good. It's when you're not able to accomplish that goal, then things go awry. So you certainly want to make sure you've covered your bases. And then understanding that, for the business to succeed, for it to flourish, you have to be at your top. You have to be at your best. You have to do what you do well. And if you're in a situation where you're not at the top of your game, when you need to be at the top of your game, do you have the opportunity to effectively put a task on pause until you can come back to it? You have more freedom when you are self-employed, self-directed. And the way that I handle that, in case you were wondering, my advice for how to handle that is I recognize when I'm not able to come to a goal or to accomplish a goal within an amount of time that I believe I should be able to accomplish a goal. And that case I kind of have to step away from it. So, for example, last night I recognized that I needed to brainstorm a few different concepts. I needed to write things down, if only to effectively build an executive summary for a project, to know if I was going down the right path or if it was something that I would intend on being able to do, because I have a phone call scheduled for next week. There's something that's hard on the schedule. So I know I have between that time when I've got an important phone call and now in between this time to effectively come up with, wait, or is it this week? Oh, yeah. No, it's next. Yeah. Okay, it's either this week or next week. Either way, I knew last night that I wasn't in the situation, even though it was burning in my head. I could have brainstormed, but it was late at night. I was definitely I had gone through a very long day. Would not have been the best time to brainstorm. Not that I'm a stranger to working at 11 o'clock at night. And I suppose if you're self-employed, you understand that stressful situation as well. But 11 o'clock at night, not always the best time to be writing things down. Not always. Sometimes it is. You just need to get things down. I knew I needed to take care of that task. So I wanted to wait until I was at least in a better condition to effectively be doing what I like to do. And I'll just be direct with you. I enjoy business development. I like thinking through the process of how to set something up or how to structure something, and then figuring out how to execute upon that and what partnerships need to be put in place. So I had to make sure that I came back to this important task when I was ready for it. I feel I'm getting there. I'm working my way through the morning in a very bad day. I know right now it doesn't look like I'm having a bad day, but trust you, me. Trust me. Trust you, me. Believe you, me. Mixed a little metaphor there. Some metaphor mixing. I do that. The next thing that needs to happen before I can effectively start working is I need to eat. I need fuel. I have been fasting, as I normally do overnight, if only to stay focused on the task at hand. I found that it's worked better for me, so I've learned how I work efficiently. That is what you need to do as well. You need to understand yourself. You need to understand what you do well and set up the conditions such that you can always, or for the most part, consistently be able to be at the top of your game. Because if you don't recognize what it is that it takes for you to be at the top of your game, don't expect somebody else is going to. You have to figure that out for yourself. And it's not a threat, but it is an absolute. Because if you are not able to execute upon the things that you need to execute upon, that business, your business, as an entrepreneur, as someone who's self-employed, your creative juices, whatever the thing that drives you forward, it's not going to be running on fuel. And you need to know what it is that's going to fuel that fire, not necessarily squelch the fire. So I appreciate having that openness, knowing full well that I'm going to accomplish the goal, and having that freedom to be able to do it when I'm at the peak Chris Pirillo state, whatever that happens to be, whenever that happens to be. And there's a lot of fluidity that doesn't always happen in typical environments where you're working for somebody else, but it's only because I've learned a lot about myself. So that's my suggestion for you. Know yourself, your shortcomings and your opposite of shortcomings. I'd say your benefits and your drawbacks, but you're not a product. Unless, of course, your business is you and you are the product. Either way, thank you for asking the question. That's my favorite part of the job, my career, if you would call it that. Thank you for asking. Feel free, again, to support this endeavor on CreatorAdvocate.com. Ask further questions. We've got a few more in the queue to flesh out in these particular live videos. I know not a lot of people are tuning in because I do these in the middle of the day. I do things in the middle of the day like a lot of people do. But thank you for taking the time to listen. I love you. I appreciate you. And at this point, I'm going to leave you to your own devices. May the Force be with you.